What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk to you about the top 5 best class setups currently in Warzone after this recent update. So as you know, the Krig is probably useless now, considering it got a 400% recoil increase, and it's worse. It's basically worse than the XM4, so it's not even usable. Kids still use it just because I don't even think they realize that there was a nerf to it, but I don't personally think it's good at all anymore. Fire got nerfed, Stoner got nerfed, OTS got nerfed, a ton of stuff got nerfed, so things are changing. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys what personally I think is the best setups in the game. So to start off, Bullfrog is probably the #1 SMG in the game right now. You're going to want to run it with the growl suppressor for that bullet velocity and sound suppression. You got to stay off the map. Barrel is always going to be a 7.4 task force. You're never not going to want to run this because it just increases the bullet velocity and effective damage range. So you're always going to want to run that on all SMGs that are from Cold War. I like a bruiser grip on it mainly for mobility. I don't like a mag just because I think the 55 round mag is completely good enough. You could go the 65 and take this off, but it just comes down to preference. Or you could run a rear grip with like a serpent wrap, and then you're going to want to run a Tiger Team Spotlight also for mobility, and then the KGB skeletal for the fire movement speed and mobility basically. So this is the setup you're going to want to run on the Bullfrog. I almost said Krig. And for a primary, it's the C56 Max. So for this setup, you're going to want to run the monolithic suppressor, Zodiac barrel, Commando foregrip, 45 round mag, and the 3x optic. So the monolithic, obviously you're going to want to run this because you mainly just run it on every single AR in Modern Warfare. The Zodiac barrel, you want that for the bullet velocity and damage range, and it keeps the recoil down. Recoil stabilization and aiming stability, holy crap, can't speak. And then a 45 round mag obviously for more ammo, and then the 3x just because it makes it an absolute laser. So this class right here is honestly my favorite setup right now. I'm running it with EOD, Overkill, and Combat Scout. You could switch the Combat Scout to Amped, but it just comes down to preference. And Throwing Knife and Heartbeat. I sometimes switch to Stuns, just depends on what type of playstyle you have. So this is the first setup. So I hope you guys enjoy this class. So the next gun's the AK47. Muzzle, the growl suppressor, similar to the monolithic, same exact stats basically. Barrel, you got the 20-inch barrel. You run this for that bullet velocity and then also recoil control. Under barrel, I run the Spetsnaz for more recoil control, and then I run a 60 round mag over a 45. It depends on the playstyle and preference you have. I like the 60 round mag just because I can engage more enemies, but the 45 is definitely gonna increase your reload speed. So it just comes down to preference depending on what you want to do in your playstyle. 3x obviously. So this is the class setup for the AK47. For the secondary, I'm running a Mac10. You could run an MP5, OTS, Bullfrog. It doesn't really matter. These are all like interchangeable. But I'm running a Mac10. So on that Mac10, you're going to want to run Agency Suppressor. Like I said before, you're going to always run with a Task Force barrel on all Cold War guns. Magazine, 53 round drum. Raider stock, and then the Tiger Team. So this setup right here has minimal recoil and it absolutely shreds. The class setup overall really allows you to engage in any type of gunfight. I mean, depending on if you can control this recoil, I'd say the AK-47 is more of a short range to medium range, and obviously the Mac-10 absolutely lasers kids up close. Perk, same thing, and I'm running stuns on this one. For the third class, I'm going with the Stoner. Honestly, even after the nerf, it's still extremely usable. You just gotta pop on amp this time. And to start it off, obviously Agency Suppressor, Task Force barrel, Field Agent. You're always gonna want to run a Field Agent on all ARs. I mean, if the gun's an absolute laser, you really don't need it. But I run a 120 round mag just because I like engaging in more gunfights, but you could swap this 120 round mag for a serpent grip if you want faster ADS. But this is the class setup for the stoner. It's an absolute laser, so I hope you guys enjoy that. For the secondary, I'm running an OTS. So what you're going to want to put on this, it's similar to the Bullfrog with the growl suppressor, task force, barrel, KGB stock, 45 or the 40 round mag, and then the Tiger team. So it's basically the same setup as the Mac10, except you just have a 45 or 40 round mag. But this thing still shreds even though it got nerfed. But for this class, you're gonna obviously want to run amp over combat scout the entire time, just because the stoner's mobility was nerfed and there's a little bit more recoil, so it's gonna be a little bit tougher to control. But overall, this class is amazing. So this next class, you got to start off with a DMR. Probably one of the top guns after this recent update. With this 16.3 titanium barrel, it increases the fire rate and there's really no recoil. So it's an absolute laser beam. If you can have a nice trigger finger, this thing will beam kids in actually like 3 shots. Muzzle, agency suppressor. You can, depending on your playstyle, you can run the Tiger team if you want faster mobility, but and run it with no optic. But I prefer the optic. I run, where is it? I run the mill stop because I'm not a huge fan of the iron sights on this thing. I just think it's way easier to hit shots with the mill stop, so I don't run a laser. For the magazine, I run the 30 round mag over the 40 just for reload quickness, and then you want that serpent wrap for faster ADS. This setup right here mixed with a Car 98 absolutely shreds, because this thing, it's not so good at distance anymore. It's more of a close range, mainly for that, because of that 3-shot. You can absolutely beam an entire team within a few fucking bullets if you can hit your shots. It's so messed up. On the car, I mean, nothing's changed. Monolithic, 27.6 barrel laser, sniper scope, and then for the stock, the FTCA. It's basically the same setup it always has been. It's the classic sniper. This thing is still insane, but mixing this with the DMR is honestly a perfect combo. So for perks, I like EOD. You could run Cold Blood if you want, and you could run Combat Scout, but I like Amped just because the faster weapon swap when you're using these two guns. This class setup is honestly one of my favorite. It's pretty tough to use, mainly because it's a semi-auto, but if you can hit your shots, you'll beam kids in literally 3 to 4 shots. I don't know if you can kill kids in under 3. I think it's with a headshot. It might be 3 and 4 with all body shots. I don't actually know, but I just know that this thing is stupid. So the last class I got for you, the FAR 83, even after the nerf, I still think is pretty solid. It does have a lot more recoil than it did before, but I think it still competes with like the C56, the AK. Krig, just throw that thing out now. But honestly, if you can get that recoil down and control it, this thing can knock kids pretty quick. Not as fast as it used to, but it's still pretty good. So for the muzzle, you're going to want to run the growl suppressor for the bullet velocity and sound suppression. Barrel, the 19.5 Liberator for the bullet velocity and vertical recoil control. I do not run a stock on this thing, mainly because I prefer a magazine. So I run the 60 round mag. Underbarrel always is going to be the Spetsnaz, and then obviously 3x sight. Honestly, the setup's not bad. It is worse than it used to be, but it still is pretty good. For the secondary, I'm normally running either an OTS, Bullfrog, or Mac10. This is my class setup for the OTS, mixed with the FARA. So, same old perks, lethal and tactical. These are my 5 classes that I personally think are by far the best guns in the game. If you guys have any other ones, comment them down below. But I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.